Okay, good morning and welcome to Mo Knows featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. All right, here we are. Here we are, Friday morning. Morning. Hey, Miss G, what's up? Okay, here we go. Here we go. They have now title. Hey, Karen. Title. Um, it's gonna be my thoughts on I'm calling it the professional protesters trial because basically um, they don't get called gang members as if it was if this had been if all of these people would have involved in this matter had been black of black skin color or origin or whatever you want to call it. You would have heard something to the effect this gang, that gang. This was nothing more than white supremacy. Whatever those white militia type organizations are, came on the scene to protect property. It's ironic to me that the very reason they were there was the very reason that the protests exist in the first place. So let me just take a few minutes to discuss that. People in the country at that time, across the 50 states, were enraged by the activities, lack thereof, of the police or of law enforcement. QST, good morning. So this trial is basically the aftermath of the police not being responsive, because there should have been no reason why there was a curfew in place. And every last person that testified in this case was breaking the curfew. But no one's being charged with not adhering to the curfew. That was the first thing that was out of control. And the police had no way of handling that. And because of their lack of ability to handle the crowds, the protesters, the ultimate rioters, the influx of professional protesters who arrived in their town, this is the fallout from that. You have people wanting to protect their property by any means necessary, and they engaged in it. The problem here was that the prosecutor failed to really bring you that aura, unless the people that live there and that are serving on the jurors that are serving as jurors feel that same compassion. I don't know what you would get as a result. They brought on Sal, two brothers. Hold on, because there was two brothers on here. Because the fault. So this stuff takes place around a gas station. Since both sides have rested now, and I've got a better picture than what we had at the time. How come I'm always on this fucking live and some craziness? All right. So you have professional protesters coming in. Some people will call them militia. Good morning, Ivame. Some people will call them the militia, or these different white supremacy groups, or these different groups that seem to know each other, who represents what. Because one of the guys that was shot, he definitely was testifying about the type of people that were there, that he knew were there. And he was describing them in his video that he was uploading in real time, before he got shot and almost lost his arm. Well, he lost a whole bicep. Yo, they blew a hole into homie's arm. Like, he really blew off. Like, he's lucky he's got an arm, to be quite honest. Y'all want to know something? We got this Santa Claus that T threw out, because we don't do Santa Claus. Sidebar. So T threw out Santa Claus. And so she put him on the side of the garbage can, but he is just sliding down the driveway and everywhere. All right, so back to the task at hand. So all of these activities took place outside of a gas station, and 3 businesses owned by some people that don't speak English, who testified. Sam, I know one name was Sal. I can't remember the other one. They were 2 brothers. They're brothers. Let me just stop. Oh, I skipped a page. I hate when I skip a page in this thing. Oh, when the pages get stuck together. Sam and Sal. So I was right. So what the prosecutor failed to really do, and you don't know why he had such a problem conveying that these people trespassed on the grounds of this store, the car dealership. So it was like so they owned 3 car lots. And I guess they sold used cars at one. They had a repair shop at the other. And the car lot was burnt on one of the evenings of a lot of damage was done to the vehicles that were there. So on a subsequent night, the night in question here, Rittenhouse and his crew came to protect that property, make sure there would be no more burning down. The fact that the citizens, however you want to see this, had to arm themselves to protect their property was weird. But here's the thing. The 2 brothers, the father and the uncle, the whole family that owns the business, none of them were there protecting their own business. A former employee, a member of the militia, I think it might be Nick, was the former employee who brought in all these militia type people. So I felt personally, so these are my thoughts, I felt like the owners of the establishment could not stop the people that occupied their facility. So let's be clear. Who's going to buy their cars when the dust settles? Who's going to shop there? They have to play nice in the community, because when all the media is gone and all the attention's gone, those people will not have a business that's sustainable. And they seem to have been, I want to look at it as being intimidated, and that's why those people were there. Because one of the brothers described it as he watched them put on their military type garb. So these people didn't come walking through the street armed with their AR-15s, et cetera, et cetera. They came there dressed like regular civilians and got all decked out in their military garb, climbing up on roofs and setting up. You know, it sounded like a real military play. And the brothers took pictures with them. The father who owns the business doesn't speak much English. Go figure. Come to America. own businesses worth more than they had, more than some kind of $1 million worth of damage. These people come here and they're able to open up $1 million businesses. How do you think that $1 million businesses stay in affluent neighborhoods? Or how do you think they are able to do this? Anyway, amazing. Not one owner was present while all this was going on, but these people were protecting it. Now, the guy testified that they were supposed to get paid afterwards, and after all of this broke out, they didn't. So there could be issues of liability on the fault of the store owners. So maybe they didn't want to come out and say, we asked these people to do this, because they were protecting their own liability, or they were intimidated and the people overtook the place. I got that feeling, but I was not 100% certain of it. So you know what that leaves me with? Reasonable doubt. I can't say for certain because they didn't put a certainty on it. But the other side did put a certainty on a defense. They clearly said we had a right to be there because we had access to the facility. The owners knew we were going to be there, and we had keys. They asked specifically if they saw the keys were given to, did anybody see the owners give the keys to Nick? And I think somebody said they did. Probably Rittenhouse when he got on there, but don't quote me on that. But what was interesting, when Rittenhouse testified, he said Sam, Sal, the father, and the uncle were present. That's how I got the uncle was up in there. And that one of the brothers, Sam or Sal, drove them to the car source 3, because there was 1, 2, and 3 locations. And that they knew at NS, which was Nick Smith, prior to that evening. And they gave permission for them to be there. But normally when somebody is occupying something, you would probably tell the rest of the people you got the rights to be there. I don't know how that exchange was, but it, from the brothers' own testimony style, and Sam, one of those fools took a picture with the militia. He seemed to have been in awe of it, but whatever. That's where the problem began. People felt the need to protect their property because the police could not. And in the situation that was at hand, we're talking about rogue police officers. This is the downfall of not weeding out the bad officers from the good officers. This is why you have this chaos, because when you keep the bad officers, the bad actors as officers, what you are doing is infesting the officer pool for all the other officers. You're messing up the integrity of the police department. This is why good cops have to turn in bad cops. This is why you must prosecute bad actors, things that police officers do that are wrong, so that you can deter them from engaging in that behavior in the first place. That lessens confidence from the community they serve. You have to deter that from happening or stop that from happening in order to have lawfulness all over. That's the basics. Those are the basics. That's why there are so many problems right now, because you can't weed out the bad actors, prosecute them, have them face consequences that will rebuild the confidence from the public in the system. Because of that, you now have officers who don't want to do their job, or they're afraid to do their job, and you got citizens taking over and doing whatever the hell they feel is necessary. Ergo, we come to the professional protesters trial. And the defense has rested. So what is my take on the defense's case? Did they help? Because remember, the prosecutor has to build a case based and have the jurors decide the case beyond a reasonable doubt. So did they absolutely did. And that's the unfortunate part about, in my view, justice. People believe that when people see a case, when jurors get a case, they get the case that we heard about in the media. Some of that information that we heard in the media never came to fruition in this case. I don't know how I feel about gun control. In this situation, you had everybody running around with freaking guns, right? Everybody had guns in this case. So whenever temperatures, well, not everyone had guns, but Kyle, he had a fucking shotgun strapped to him, right? No one could pull this away from him because that's why he bought a strap, right? So that he can keep it adhered to him at all times. What they didn't prove enough to me was when he shot. So there's Rosenbaum, who he shot first. They did not prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt. Let me see how I'm saying that. I would probably find him guilty of shooting Rosenbaum if I was a juror, because they did not give me enough reasonable doubt. It's to the area in which he was in, that he shot the guy. There's no audio where he alleges this guy was threatening him with bodily harm. He tries to use other people's accounts of the man being boisterous for the evening or what have you. But we now know the profile of the victim, Rosenbaum, is that he's somebody who was suffering from some mental issues, was recently released from the hospital, getting a new regimen of medication, and that he had taken his medication that morning, but he was on a new regimen of medication. So if you was paying that any attention and you was listening to him being irritated, and then you listen to the rest of the people, that they too had guns that day, that they too encountered that man that day, that the man was threatening for his own kill me, kill me, kill me. Rittenhouse to me would have been better off saying, yo, the dude told me to kill him and I did. Instead, everyone else who was more mature than Rittenhouse in age and in experience, dealing with folks. Many of those people were military backgrounds. This guy had nothing. He's a washed up teen with apparent problems. He graduated from an online high school. Why can't you be in high school, young man? Oh, problem. These are the things that I'm looking at when it comes down to this. So when approached by other people, when he was being filmed by the media person that was following behind him, people were like, why are you this dude is calling out medic right now, and a few minutes ago he was up the block threatening us with his gun. Why they didn't bring those guys to testify? Because they probably had records. Maybe they were other outsiders. Maybe they were other professional protesters. But at the end of the day, there was enough evidence. There's enough evidence for me to say that he wasn't, his life wasn't at threat with this dude. He just was walking around being freaking sarcastic with people. Because when that guy said to him that, he was like, me thing, and he says he was being sarcastic. And I don't his body language on the stand was annoying to me. Forget the crying, because I had no sympathy for that, because to me, he didn't cry when he did all of this stuff. So I don't want to know about the cry on the stand, because to me, the cry on the stand was only because you don't want to go to jail, doesn't want to go to prison, because he's already been in jail. He knows what jail is like. He's afraid for his life. He's more afraid for his life now in that courtroom than what he was that day when he was running around shooting up people in the street. So that's the first two. Now, this is the thing that bothers me the most about this whole case, because it's a fundamental right. He's saying he was in fear for his life because he was running away from the crowd after he killed somebody. And the crowd, to me, was chasing him down because he killed somebody and they didn't want him to get away. So the questions become, who is correct in that instance? Had you had law enforcement on it, well, had nobody been breaking the time, the curfew in the first place, you probably wouldn't have just gotten so out of control. But had you had law enforcement that you could have resulted to, you wouldn't have had to chase him. So the people that were chasing him down the street, and the guy that he shot in the arm ultimately, Gross Croc, right? Don't get me started. Gross, whatever, was there allegedly, a professional protester, was there because he was doing medic stuff at the time. And in the direction he was going when he heard the shots, he was going opposite Rittenhouse. He was going opposite him to go towards the person that was injured. But when the crowd that was passing him by was like, yo, get him. So let me stop. As he was going towards the gunshot, he runs into Rittenhouse, right? Rittenhouse, he's like, yo, what's up? And he's like, I'm going to the police. I didn't shoot nobody. Because the crowd behind him is yelling, he shot somebody. So now the dude that got his arm blew off, he's like, what are y'all saying? Oh, wait a second. So instead of going in the direction to save whoever's life was out there to be saved, he turned and he joined the mob to chase the dude. This was not a long chase. This was what the defense brings out. This was less than a minute and a half span of time before he shot the other peoples. And that's the peoples that are in this crowd. So imagine you're walking in one direction and a dude is coming in the other direction. And you're like, hey, what's going on? He's the dude with the gun running, okay? And he's like, I'm going to get to the police. I didn't shoot nobody. Okay, then the other people are like, yo, he's the person we got to get. You turn around and you join in the pursuit. Somebody jumps, Rittenhouse loses his traction and falls to the ground. So nobody fucking knocked homie out. He's on the ground, sitting there in that position that he's sitting in. And he says he's a little lightheaded or what have you from running or whatever. And one guy comes and jumps over his head and kicks him in the face. So the kick happened first and then the gunshot. I didn't write it down yesterday, but they were trying to make sure that they had that right, that the kick happened first and the gunshot, or was it the gunshot and then the kick? So I think it was the kick happened first. I'll go back. It doesn't fucking matter. The guy kicked you in the head. I don't know if you should have been shooting at him, but guess what? You didn't kill him, and we don't know who he is. Miraculously, he's never come forward. Next dude comes with the skateboard. And a skateboard. So skateboard dude. All right, so skateboard dude comes and pops him with the skateboard. So he shoots him and kills him. And then this other dude, seeing skateboard dude just get fucking blown off, is standing there. This is the dude that stopped him to talk, that asked him like, what's going on? And he said he didn't shoot nobody. He's standing there with a gun in one hand, like crouch. The thing that went wrong with that dude testified he should have just been honest. I froze. I had my weapon because this dude's gun was now pointing at me and I was gonna shoot him. But when he cocked his pistol back, I lost my opportunity because I was frozen and he shot me and got me. That's all he had to say. Then we would be looking at the two of them as, is that self-defense? In that case, Gross Croc, whatever his name is, they're gonna find him not guilty of shooting him because he had a gun pointed at him. He just froze. He played monkey and lost, or whatever you want to call it. He played that shit and lost. The other two dudes, I don't know if it is. I feel like he didn't have self-defense for the other two, in my view. But the dude that survived, believe it or not, and the only dude with a gun, and probably the reason why the dude survived in the first place was because he had a gun pointed at him, which probably deterred, or however, when this dude had to re-rack. And see, that's the issue. He re-racked on them. I didn't even know. Girl, go with your gun shit, girl. You're watching this stuff too much. So when he re-racked, it's like he knew he was gonna kill that guy. But he can easily say, they both can easily be in a position, bottom, to say that they both was in fear of their life and one took the other one's life. Or actually, he didn't take the other one's life, he blew a hole in his arm. And he'll have to remember for the rest of his life that he froze up. The one time he had an opportunity to kill somebody, he froze up. Both individuals, Rittenhouse and Croc, right? Neither one of them had a valid license that evening to carry. What's his name was expired, and this dude was not old enough to have a thing. So 1st degree homicide, intentional, guilty. These are Mo's opinions if I was the 13th juror. 1st degree reckless endangering safety. 1st degree intentional homicide. I would find him guilty, even with skateboard guy popping him in the fucking head. I would still find him guilty because neither one of these people got a chance to aggress back on him or anything before he shot them. And in order to use deadly force, it has to be equal to the force being provided against you. No one mentioned that in this case. Maybe it's different in their state. So I'm going by my understanding of use of deadly force and returning deadly force for deadly force. Attempted 1st degree intentional homicide. I would say not guilty. So 1st degree recklessly endangering safety, I would say guilty. Because he was running around there with that gun, and let me see. That might be hard for me to, that might be a little hard for me to, based on the information that they put forward, if they had brought some actual guys that would have said, because remember, they tried to say that his actions endangered, like the reporter that testified and so on. The reporter said, yo, I wasn't in danger. I moved the hell out the way. So they needed to really bring other people who were ducking and very fearful of what was going on. They really didn't. So I would have to say Even though I believe that he was acting recklessly and he was endangering safety, they did not really put a witness up there that would lead me to believe that he was endangering their safety. They would have had to bring somebody that wasn't running, that bullets flew around or something to prove that. So I would have to say not guilty for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's got 2 counts of recklessly endangering safety. So it had to be another person that was there. So I would have to look at that charge more specifically to see who they named that he was recklessly endangering the safety of. So on those, it depends on who's named. We'll find out on Monday when they do, when the judge charges them. I'll come back and tell you if I think any differently. And he's definitely guilty of possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under age 18. At best, he will be found guilty of that. All of these other ones, there's a lot of reasonable doubt on all of them. There was enough. They did give enough reasonable doubt, and the prosecutor did put on such a piss poor job of a case that anything's possible. And he didn't put on a piss poor. I want to talk about something else that happened yesterday, but he didn't put on a piss poor job of a case in and of himself, right? Just of his own volition. He had help from the judge because the judge was very mean to him and very pro this defendant's rights. Some people may see that as the judge is the prosecutor. Others are pointing to an article that came out yesterday. I did not see this because during the midst of this trial, I got people calling me. I am working, I am listening, but I think some of the YouTube distractions are a lot for me too. Because the other stuff that's going on in the YouTube space really has nothing, like there's some distractions there. And other people wanting my opinion on stuff. So I had a lot of calls. So I missed when the judge's phone rang to the tune of a Trump song from his campaign. And I am so pissed that I missed that, because that then would have tainted my whole view on the judge. It would answer to me, it would provide answers that are just in the air for me. Like the judge just saying, lucid, willing to quiver for no reason, like just outraged for no apparent reason. If he's a Trumpian, goodness gracious, I can't imagine what that's like. I know he is mad hostile towards the prosecutor. So with that being said, so I missed that. And I couldn't find it, and I was listening. I went to sleep though early yesterday, so I couldn't really pinpoint it. And that was it. I was gonna say something else about the prosecutor's case. Yesterday, he let in the judge allowed in the weirdest kind of argument against the prosecutor's case in terms of blowing up items. Shit we all do every day on our phone. We zoom in, and then the guy is insinuating that pixels are being added to the picture, and when pixels are added to the picture, it distorts the picture or whatever. And I'm like, my dude, we're looking at footage of people in the nighttime that agree they had guns and they was running. I don't know. It was weird. The defense was putting out that you cannot expand photos in this, can't expand the video because it's adding color and stuff to the videos and stuff like this. It was weird because the videos that they had got last came from the FBI. So you're telling me the FBI, who got their drone cameras out there, and it seems like it must have been like a last resort trying to get this information from the FBI because they just got it within like the last week or two, when the trial had began. They just got it from the FBI. So it looks like the FBI didn't want to help them out too much, but it had no other choice. Maybe it's because we now have a different administration in office, more prone to make that more available than the previous administration. But what does that say about justice as a whole? Okay, I'm gonna go to the chat. Anything y'all got to say, add to it, let me know. And that's it. So we'll see. Today they are working on what will be the ultimate charges against him. So I'll get to hear what those are. And Monday they go to the case will go to the jurors. And that's it. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. If car folks didn't care, why would protect car get paid? I mean, it's one or two scenarios with the car source people, 1, 2, and 3. Either they were going to pay them to watch the property, and they authorized them to be on the premises. But here's the thing: there is testimony that came in that once the police were coming to the car source property, everyone inside fled. So if you were authorized to be in a dealership by the owner of the dealership, why did people flood? Why did people leave when the police were coming to the dealership? That doesn't settle too well for me. But they did, on the defense side, they did play the police officers thanking them for being there. So even if they didn't have the authorization of the owner of the property to be present, they were getting a blessing of the police department. The police department that is supposed to be handling all the issues with the with order, law and order. Protects were all right. I guess protesters were inside as well as on the roof. The men who were guarding the facility were on the roof. I did not see any testimony that protesters got onto the roof. They were, whoever was part of this group that Carl Rittenhouse was with, were on the roof. And one of the activities that they were engaging in while on the roof was lasering people on the ground. And the people on the ground were getting annoyed with it. And they were telling them, whoever the elders in that group were telling them, listen, stop doing that because it's making them anxious out here. And if you want to make people anxious, you know what's going to happen next. So it's kind of weird because I would have thought Rittenhouse might have showed more evidence of people were annoyed with him or thought that he belonged with the people back there that was doing wrong things to people. And that's why these people were chasing him down or etc. But you would have needed to have more of those people come out and admit that they were chasing him. And I guess it just would have been a shit show for what actually was already a trial that turned into be just that, a shit show. Um, my thoughts exactly, adults versus child mentality. Uh, he took the Susan Smith Award for fake crying. I don't know. I don't know. Some of those. I can't. I can't. All I'm saying, how I'm gonna classify his crying is that it did not move me. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't tell if he was faking it or not. I ain't never seen that man cry a day in my life. Maybe not still even on that day. But what I did see that man do was nothing convinces me that he was innocent, because I felt like without the videos being slowed down, after he shot the first dude, he looked like he did a victory dance. And he came around and he looked at the damage that he did. And he shot that man 4 times unnecessarily when he had already shot him 1 time. 1 time could have been fatal enough. But instead, he shot at him 4 times. So the threat could not still be imminent that you needed to keep shooting him. And I can't stand people that I feel talk through their nose. And he seemed like he was talking through his nose, so it was annoying to me listening to him speak on the stand. And his gestures just annoyed me as well. Because I felt it was of dominance. And that's it. But that's my take on what I saw. Anyway, we'll move on. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's not traditionally a Saturday because that's when I'm really on the road. But I might take y'all. I think the weather is gonna be bad. I might take y'all on a car drive with me. On my Saturday. I'm gonna tell you, ever since they showed the video of somebody phone dropping inside their car and falling into this abyss of dirt. I looked at my car like differently. I got in it the other day and I was just like, yo, what do people do in their cars? Like once upon a time, I lived in my car, right? Unfortunately or fortunately, not that car, but a car in the past. And I appreciate the value of the car, the back seats, the front seats. Maybe you might find my trunk to be a little bit out of whack. But it made me go to the car wash. Well, I need to go. I try to go once a month to the car wash, once every other month to the car wash. Because car wash in New York, that is expensive. But I realized something, because the last time I got my car washed at the other car wash that I used to go with Chico all the time, or that's where Chico washed his car at. So I always took his car to where he washed it and got his oil checked. But I never realized that because we got an oil check, we also got the free car wash. So I didn't realize this, that I go to this other car wash that's way on the other end of Queens, right? And that's because they wash the inside of the car. And I'm always like so particular. I'd be like, oh, this place is so expensive. So I figured out why it's so expensive. Because I be getting detailing. Shut up, Miss Mo. I found that out yesterday. Well, when I went the other day, I was just like, oh, that's what I be doing. Girl, you're gonna have to really calm yourself. So that's what be going on. Cause yeah. And it's so funny because I went on Sunday, and Sunday they have the all day price for like $16, right? But they don't do the interior inside. Like they don't do all of that. And I got it. So the guy was like, you sure you want this? Because the special was the 16. I was like, yeah, I want the inside because I like the leather to be shiny or whatever. I'm gonna get me some fucking Armor All wipes for myself from out of Walmart the next time I go to Walmart. But that shit was just crazy. I was like, oh, that's what happened. That's why I be so much. I never really paid attention. When you go in there, they just be like ultimate, super, like they got like names for the different. So I just take the whole big one because it'd be like cleaning underneath because I'm like, how can they set the machine not to clean underneath? And then I was so mad with myself because I did not get the lava. Yeah. But I could go to Newark and get the lava. Next time I'm in Jersey, I'll get the lava wash because they don't have to do the inside. Because now I just got it's winter time, so I got my winter mats in the car, and I bought some Nissan winter mats with the thing. So that's about it. Oh, so that's just crazy. But yo, keep y'all shit in order. But anywho's, I might take y'all with a drive with me. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Oh, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. I will be back tomorrow because I didn't start this. Sweater yet, and I'm just gonna order the rest of I'm just gonna place the order online and have it delivered to me because I have a Joann's in New York, but it's not like the Joann's in New Jersey. And I'm not sure if I want to drive out to New Jersey. I really have to cut back on my spending. So yeah, I did my budget. I really have to cut back on some stuff. So one of the things is my little joyride. That car is extremely fucking expensive. Every time I turn around, I'm putting like $50 worth of gas inside the damn car. And I kid you not, it seems like it's twice a week or so. And that's it. And those are my trips to Jersey, catching up with me. And I be forgetting to get, I only get BP gas. Shout out to Jason. Jason said she did not say she get black people gas, BP. Yes, I only get BP gas. And it's getting terrible because there's not that many BP stations here in New York that are affordable. But I have one immediately in my area. And then I have one I drive out to because they're about 5 cents cheaper. And I'll be using my app. But it doesn't even matter in New York because you got to pump your own gas. When I go to Jersey, boy, I'll be sitting there like, thank goodness, getting gas from Jersey. Yes, I'll be doing a little prayer. Thank goodness I'm getting gas from Jersey because you know what that means? That means that the Jerseyans got the guy to pump the gas. I don't have to get out the car for nothing or whatever. I love getting my gas in Jersey. And that's it. So this is Mo, and I've got to go.